Are you an older homeowner starting to wonder whether your house is meeting your current needs? Are you assisting a parent or a grandparent and the question of selling, downsizing, or retirement living keeps coming up? Then this is the video for you. Most people in this situation feel stuck because they don't know where to start. And every time they try, the conversation turns stressful and even goes nowhere. In the next few minutes, I want to show you why this decision feels so overwhelming, why so many families end up waiting until a crisis to make a decision, and how answering this one question can make this whole process simpler and calmer. My name is Michael Wright, and I'm a realtor. And for more than 40 years, I've helped older adults and their families work through one big question: to move or not to move. And what I've learned is this: the decision itself isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is starting in the right place. Let me explain what I mean. Why this decision feels so hard. Most people come to me asking the same question: where do we go from here? It sounds reasonable, but the moment you ask it, stress shows up. Because your mind jumps straight to getting the home ready, getting rid of stuff, listing, pricing, market timing, and everything that could go wrong. Simply put, people focus on where to go and how we're going to get there. And once that happens, there are usually two outcomes. They either rush into a decision they're not ready for, or they're overwhelmed and do nothing, waiting for a life-changing crisis which forces them into a decision. Neither is optimal for a great quality of life. If that sounds familiar, there's a reason. There are 4 reasons people can't move forward. Over the years, I've noticed that when someone feels stuck, it's usually one or more of these 4 things. First is denial. Denial is not a flaw. Denial is a coping mechanism. Many of my clients say, "I'm fine. I can still climb a ladder, I can still shovel snow." That's denial. The second is lack of information. Many people don't actually know or understand what housing options exist today. Third, and one of my favorites, is the magnitude of the process. When you spend 40 years in one home, means you have 40 years of memories, 40 years in belongings, and 40 years of making excuses not to make a decision. Just thinking about it can feel exhausting. And the fourth is fear. And it's one I struggle with all the time. Am I making the right choice? Is that fear of losing my independence? Is that a fear of regret? Or many times I procrastinate and it's the fear of getting started. Let me give you a simple example. Whether it's the adult children or the homeowner, a lot of times they'll tell me we're okay with a large home. We can manage the stairs, the cleaning, and the rising costs, which can all be true until you factor in the what ifs. What happens if your wife starts having mobility issues? What happens if you have a sudden heart attack or stroke? What happens if you're unable to drive? Do your adult children know your housing plan in the case of a death or disability? Unfortunately, many people respond with the answer, "We'll deal with it when it comes." My question back is always, isn't it better to plan your housing future than to react to a housing crisis? And this is where the wrong focus causes problems. The common question versus the right question. Where do we go from here is the common question I receive. It focuses on moving before you understand the need. The better first question is not where do we go from here, is answering the question, why do you want to leave? In any life change, you need to start with a goal, and that goal is why. And remember, planning does not mean you're moving today. Planning simply means you have a direction. It means that if something changes with your health, mobility, or your support network, you already know what your options are. That is why I often say, plan first, decide later. That shift alone reduces stress and protects your independence. If you're feeling stuck right now, here's something practical you can do today. Let's break this planning process into 2 parts. One is the planning the housing transition, and the other part is planning the housing transaction. You have to plan the transition before you can implement the transaction. Planning the transition is really answering the question, why? Why am I moving? Is it, I want to free up equity for my home. I want to be closer to my kids. I'm having trouble with mobility. My wife is in cognitive decline. We're defining why we want this transition to go ahead. The second part is the planning of the transaction. That is something that I do every day, which is basically the selling of the home. I always like to break things down in very simple components. So I want you to remember 4 words: why, what, where, and how. Why am I moving? What type of housing will meet my needs? Where should I move? And how will the transaction be accomplished? Planning really is a simple process, but it can feel overwhelming. That's why I created the Housing TLC program. The TLC stands for Transition and Lifestyle Consulting. This planning process has 4 distinct areas of review. We examine your current housing. We look at the financial impact of your current home and the financial impact of other housing types, home safety, and socialization. Going through this process gives us a solid understanding of the why. My Housing TLC program is great for homeowners and helping them make a decision, but it's also invaluable for people that are caregiving for an aging parent or grandparent. Whether we're talking to our spouse or maybe we're an adult child talking to our parent or grandparent, pushing for answers often creates resistance, but planning together without forcing a decision usually brings relief. You don't have to carry this alone. The goal here isn't to predict the future. It is to be prepared for it. Good decisions come from calm, not urgency. If you'd like assistance starting a housing plan, you can book a free transition consulting call. Even if you don't see the why today, you can have a plan for the future. Having a plan protects your dignity and your independence. This is about making sure you're aging in the right place.